All right, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, BaHa, YAHAWASHI, BaHa, RAWCHAA, QADASH. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And I was watching this video that was done here by the elder Yashawamba, and it was a response to this video that you see on the screen, the land of Canaan, Israel deception, so on and so forth. Watch this now, the hidden secret of sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, and the man you see before you, I believe this is what was his name? Ronald Dalton, something like that. Hold on, Ronald. Yep, Ronald Dalton Jr. Yeah, pretty much. Lately we've been doing videos and expounding on different doctrines that this guy teaches. Of course, you have the whole Kyrie situation, which Kyrie posted a link to H2N, Hebrews to Negroes, which was the big old controversial situation. All right, but what it did do was it did drive a lot of people to his movie, right, or documentary. However, even though he talks about Israelites and Jake and all of these things, at the end of the day, it's not about whether you just mention Israel, or you mention the true heritage of us and all of these things. You got to teach the correctness of the doctrine. Okay, you have to teach the whole truth, which the truth is that, as I'm going to address in this video, the land of Israel, okay, is the promised land. Okay, it's not Africa. All right, now I haven't finished watching this whole entire video, and I haven't got a chance to watch the other videos that were done, by different elders and elder brothers and other brothers. But Lord's will, the lesson will still be edifying. Okay, and I have a few precepts here because there are a few points that he mentions. Okay, one of them, namely, going into the population of Israel, basically the birth rate, with how rapidly Israelites grow. The land of Israel would be too small, okay, to house the Israelites, which at the end of the day, he mentions that. Matter of fact, let me just play it and then we can hear it and get a few precepts on that.
Let's go back. And it says that the Israelites will be as numerous as the stars of the sea and the sand of the sea and the stars in the sky, and that he would bless their generations. And you have to ask yourself, over thousands of years, if the Israelites were polygamous and they kept the lineage after their father, then they would naturally overpopulate any land that they would go into, and they will outnumber by the sheer birth rate of the Israelites, other Hamitic tribes in Africa that didn't practice these things. And God knew that the Israelites would multiply in the millions, not just 1 million or 2 million when they came out of Egypt in the Exodus, but to become 100 million, 200 million, 500 million plus people. And where would they have their land inheritance to accommodate 500 million people plus? It can't be in the land of modern day Israel. We know that because it's only can house about 8 to 11 million people.
So his reasoning is that basically, yeah, like the brother said, he doesn't have the Holy Spirit. He's just talking. But his reason is that basically, according to, I guess, modern day statistics or whatever the case is, the modern day land of Israel, which what they call the land of Israel today, is a very small fraction of what the actual promised land was or is. Okay, it's much bigger than what they show you today when you read in the book of Genesis and you follow, the basically the blueprints or the instructions of what the Most High said would be Abraham's possession and his seed. You would find that out. Okay, however, that does not disprove what the scriptures say. Okay, if we just got up and try to use, that's the thing. You have a lot of Israelites that they when it comes to the truth of your nationality and the heritage and the history, they gravitate towards that. But when it comes to the spiritual aspects of the scriptures, then they try to reason it out with carnal logic. Okay, that's not that. Then you're clearly, the Israelites are spiritual people. Okay, but you have a lot of Israelites that shift away from that part because it sounds supernatural and it sounds like a make believe, and they don't want to be looked at as crazy. So it's like, we'll just deal with the more carnal aspects of the scriptures. But when you deal with the scriptures, you got to deal with it as a whole. And as a whole, like he another thing that he teaches is that the chariots, all right, are not what we say they are, which according to the scriptures, the only, if you read the scriptures, the only conclusion you can come to is that the chariots of God are the so-called UFOs. All right, but anyway, that's another topic for another time. So the first precept that I want to get here to start off is in the book of Second Peter, chapter 3, verse 1, because he's not the only one. Now the Spirit has it to where he's the flavor right now, okay, but he's not the only one. There are a lot of individuals that have come out and that will come out and start talking about Israel and Israelites and the true Jews and all of these things, but they're not going to. Majority of them are not going to tell you the full truth. Okay, there's just knowing enough is not enough. You got to know all. All right. This is the book of Second Peter, chapter 3, verse 1. It says, "This second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you, in both which I stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance, that ye may be mindful of the words which were spoken before by the holy prophets, and of the commandment of us, the apostles of the Lord and Savior, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers walking after their own lust." Okay, now we are in the last days right now. So it's not by surprise that, or it doesn't surprise us that you have many different individuals, and they're going to come of different status, different ranks, different, abilities. But at the end of the day, we've been warned already as to what was going to be the setting, all right, in these last days. Now, if the promised land is Africa, okay, which it sounds like that's the direction in which he's going with it. If it's Africa, then you got to ask yourself, right? Africa's a big ass place. Okay, that makes sense. But why didn't the Lord keep us in Egypt? Why didn't he have us just take over Egypt and spread over there? Why did he have us delivered out of Egypt and return back into the land of Israel? For what? Why not, if the promised land is Egypt, and that's where we went, the 12 patriarchs and Jacob, that's where we went and then dwelt there and became a nation. Why would the Lord need to take us out from that land? Why not just have us take it over and keep us there, since we're going to populate so much, right? And we're gonna go ahead and need more space. Okay. Now, another thing that was mentioned here is that he said that anywhere we go, any land, we would basically overpopulate the inhabitants of that land. Well, in that case, then by that logic, no land would be enough, right? Not Africa, because how long would Africa last us until we overpopulate there? And then Europe, and then America, and it doesn't stop. But the scriptures got something for that. But see, the solution to that is something that's too much for Israelites that are not spiritually minded to comprehend. Because how can we dwell on the earth, okay, and be immortal and have such a high birth rate at the same time? Yeah, eventually we would run into the problem of so-called overpopulation, right? Because Israelites are not going to die, pursuant to Revelation, the 21st chapter. If Israelites don't die and we keep on populating and we populate at a very fast rate, what is eventually going to happen? Even if we're in the land of Africa, we're gonna become too much for that land. Then we spread out more, but eventually we're gonna become too much for the earth. So then what? You know? Now we understand according to the scriptures that there's a reason why these other planets are there. And the connecting piece are the chariots, because how would we get from one planet to another? But that's going to be too much for certain Israelites. If you tell them, if you go into the scriptures and you show them that the reason these other planets are there, all right, is for us. And like the elder Yashawamba was mentioning in this video, that Israel or Jerusalem is going to be the headquarters. But at the end of the day, all Israel is not going to remain here in Jerusalem on the planet Earth for all eternity. It doesn't make sense. Okay, and we're going to prove that through the scriptures, because we're not all eventually we're not all going to fit. Because what happens to the Israelites that die on this side? They come back through the loins of the elect, right? So we go to Israel, the destruction hits, the elect go to Israel, right? The Lord takes us back to the Holy Land. We stay there. We start repopulating. You know, they build up the kingdom and everything. We start repopulating. Now it's you have servants, you have children. You keep on growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. Eventually, we're not all going to fit in Jerusalem. So what's going to happen then? But anyway, let's move on to the next precept. Because there's another, I guess, another doctrine which is being taught. I mean, which is not new, but pretty much saying that we gotta go to Africa. You know, pretty much just escape Babylon by going to Africa. All right, but let's read this real quick. This is the book of Micah, chapter 4, verse 10. It says, "Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion," which is talking about the children of Israel, "like a woman in travail. For now thou shalt go forth out of the city, which is Jerusalem or Israel, and thou shalt dwell in the field, and thou shalt go even to Babylon," which is where we are now. Okay? Because ultimately, when what happened throughout the course of history? We were in the land of Israel, but after certain captivities, and a very notable one is, or I should say, after certain events, which a very notable one being around the time of 70 AD, Israel, the land of Israel, was taken over. The temple was destroyed. Jerusalem was besieged. The walls were destroyed, and we fled. Okay, and fled where? Into Africa, which it tells you that in the book of Revelation, 12th chapter. Okay, so mainly that field is Africa. Okay, but it wasn't just Africa that we fled to. We fled to different parts, all right, of the world as well. But as it says, "And thou shalt go even to Babylon," which we know Babylon is America. But what does it say? It says, "And there," right? Where is there? Not Africa, Babylon, right? Which is America. And as it says, "There shalt thou be delivered. There the Lord Yahawah shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemies." Okay, so here, it is here. And when it says "there thou shalt be delivered," or "there shalt thou be delivered," it doesn't mean that if you're not here in Babylon, you can't be delivered. But the reason it's written that way is because it's putting emphasis on where the great deliverance is going to be. Because you're going to have Israelites that are in different parts of the world that are still going to be delivered. However, the bulk, or the emphasis, the great deliverance, is going to come out of Babylon, not Africa. So as it says here, where we're at right now is where we're going to be delivered. All right, and the Lord is going to redeem us from the hand of our enemies. So why should we leave here and go to Africa as if that's going to do something? Do you think that if a famine hits a famine hits America, and Africa is going to be untouched? Because of what? First off, let a famine hit Africa, and you find yourself in a neighborhood of Hamites, Okay, because you have certain regions in Africa where, of course, you have predominantly Jake or Israelites, but then there's also other regions where you have predominantly Hamites. And let them Hamites find you during the famine and see what happens. You think they're going to stop it? Oh, well, according to the scriptures, this is unlawful meat, so we can't do this. No, they're going to stick a a freaking spear through your mouth and out your rear and roast you on fire like a one of them BJ's rotisserie chicken. Okay, and I mean that's not a fate that you want to be in. Okay, but anyway, let's deal with the book of Baruch, chapter 2, verse 30. Because in the book of Baruch, the second chapter, it goes into it and it explains to you what's going to happen at the end. Okay, and what's going to happen to the nation of Israel here in this captivity and going forward from here. So once this loads up, all right, let's go to the 30th verse. This is Baruch, the second chapter, verse 30. And it says here, "For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves." Now you got to ask yourself, okay, well, in the land of our captivities, we shall remember ourselves. We've been in various different captivities. But in order to remember yourself, you have to have forgotten who you were. Now, in all the previous captivities, we had knowledge that we were Israelites. So which captivity was it that we didn't know who we were, and we would need to be reminded, or we would need to remember ourselves, remember that we are the Israelites, remember our heritage. Okay, and that's happening here. Okay, in this captivity. So it says here, and shall know that I am the Lord their God, Yahawah Ba'ashem YAHAWASHI, for I will give them an heart and ears to hear. It is not literal. What it means is the Lord is gonna open up our minds as He is doing now, which is allowing us to understand the fullness and the truth of the scriptures. It says, "And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity." Which is what the true believers are doing right now. "And think upon my name, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord." And that's what we're doing, right? We're acknowledging that the reason we're in this condition is because our fathers sinned, which is really us. All right, reincarnation is biblical, so it's really us that went off, and now we're paying for it in this lifetime. But the point is, we're returning from our stiff neck and wicked deeds, repenting and putting off the ways of the world. It says, "And I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished." So now the question is, what land did the Lord promise unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Because that is the land that He said He's going to bring us back into, and we're going to increase and not be diminished. "And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their God, and they shall be my people. And I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them." So let's find out, what land was it that was promised unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that the Lord said He's going to bring us back into? And let's see if that's talking about the land of Africa. See, because people, sometimes you'll use logic, but your logic is really, the scriptures tell you that the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. It also tells you the Lord stretcheth the heavens like a curtain. So what the hell does, oh, well, I mean, we know it can't be Israel because that can only house yada yada to yada yada people. That's such a childish, like, that's such a limitation, okay, on the mind, on through your mind, on the power of the Most High. Salakia. All right, you're thinking, oh, well, logically it wouldn't make sense because of such and such and such, but you think the Most High doesn't know that? So He didn't have anything in plan. He was going to wait. He was going to take us over there, and then once we started to overpopulate, oh shoot, damn, wow, why didn't I think of that? Of course, oh man, I should have taken them into a broader land. Come on. The Most High wouldn't be called the Most High if he wasn't the Most High. All right. Let's see. Let's go to Genesis chapter 13. Verse 1 through 18. All right, and let's get into that real quick. Salakia. All right. So Genesis chapter 13, let's go into it and let's identify, well, what land is this? All right, so this is Genesis chapter 13, verse 1. It says, and Abram, which that was his name before it got changed to Abraham. It says, and Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. It says, and Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south, even to Bethel, onto the place where his tent had where his tent had been at the beginning between Bethel and Hai. It says here, onto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first, and there Abram called on the name of the Lord Yahawah. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. All right, and you might say, oh well, see, if the land couldn't even hold Lot and Abram at that time, how is it going to hold all the nation of Israel? Let's keep reading. It says here, and there was strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelt within the land, or dwelled then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren. And if not the whole land is not the whole land before thee, separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan. Now, where's Jordan? Let's pull up a nice quick map. Jordan Bible map. Let's take a nice little picture of the geography. All right, cool. This should do it. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, it says the Jordan River is right here, which is clearly in the land of Israel. All right, when at the time when we were dwelling in the land, we had this whole area. Okay, but carrying on, it says, and Lot lifted up his eyes and behold all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere before the Lord Yahawah destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. And Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord Yahawah said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. So where was Abram at this time? He had came up from Egypt. So clearly he wasn't in Africa. He was in the land of Canaan at the time it was called. And it was called by that because they were the Canaanites, or the families of the Canaanites were the ones that were dwelling there. It says verse 5 or verse, and when we dwelt there, then we called it after our name. Verse 15, it says, for all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And, and I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Then Abram removed his tent, and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord Yahweh. So what land was this? This was the land of Israel, clearly, which was referred to as the land of Canaan at that time. But this was the land that was promised, all right, that the Lord said that he would give to Abraham, and reaffirmed it with Isaac and to Jacob, right? So here it is, going back to Baruch, it tells us that the Lord said he's going to take us back to the land which he promised onto our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we know that land to be the land of Israel, okay? But now dealing with the earlier point that was made, which is that if we're going, let's deal with a couple of things here, right? The Lord delivers the nation of Israel. He takes, or the elect takes us back to the land of Israel. The claim is that the land is too small to house all of us, and as we're going to be populating, it won't be able to hold us. But then again, the question is, what land will be able to hold us then? Because it won't. If clearly one land alone, even one planet alone, will not be enough in process of time to house all the nation of Israel. Okay, and let's prove it. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 22. Also, let's hold book of Revelation 21. And, all right. Now, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 22. All right. It says here, the point is in the 22nd verse. Let's maybe let's go a bit. All right. Isaiah 60, and Isaiah 60 is pretty much going into the kingdom, the blessings that are going to be bestowed upon the children of Israel. So verse 17, it says, for brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness, which this is just a poetic way of emphasizing that we are going to be at peace. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But the Lord Yahweh shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God thy glory. Thy sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself, for the Lord Yahweh shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. Thy people also shall be all righteous, which that in itself indicates to us, right? Because if the scriptures say that the wages of sin is death. So if and righteousness, if you're righteous, you're not wicked, right? So when we're all righteous, it means we're going to be perfect. And that's going to be thanks to the new covenant that the Lord is going to complete, okay, by putting the law, statutes, and commandments in our heart or in our inward parts. And if we're all righteous, that means we're going to be immortal because we're not going to sin. And if we don't sin, we're not going to die. Lucky, let me charge up this thing real quick so that it doesn't die on me. All right. All right. So carrying on, it says, they shall inherit the land forever. And what land is that? Once again, the land of Israel. It says, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. And one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord Yahawah, will hasten it in his time. So how is one going to become 1,000? How is a small one going to become a strong nation? Okay. Yeah, are we just going to clone ourselves? Are we going to reproduce asexually? No. In order for one to become 1,000, we're going to need to multiply. And in order to multiply, we're going to have women that our wives that we're going to reproduce with, right? And concubines. And that's how we're gonna grow. But the point in the 22nd verse is that we're gonna populate very rapidly, and there's gonna be no cap. No cap, right? And the reason is, when you go to the book of Revelation, the 21st chapter, this that the apostle John is seeing is happening after the destruction of Esau's kingdom. So the new heaven and the new earth represent a new age, okay? And the earth itself is not going to be replaced, but it's going to be refreshed. Verse 2 goes into the elect coming down, because why would the elect be up in the first place? In order to be delivered and not get destroyed. But eventually, Lord willing, we be a part of that number, we're going to come back down. And the point here is in verse 24. It says, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death. Key point number 1. Neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. So what's going to happen? The elect are going to get delivered. We're going to get our bodies changed, and then we're going to come back down. And from that point on, we're never going to die. We're going to be immortal. And all of our descendants are also going to be immortal, because they're going to be Israelites. They're going to come from our loins. So they're also going to be immortal. So going back to Isaiah 60 and 22, this little one becoming 1,000, all those members of that 1,000, which is not just limited to 1,000, that's just a number to emphasize the magnitude. Okay. But that 1,000, they're all going to be immortal, and each one of them is also going to multiply and become 1,000. Which I'm just using 1,000 as an example, but we're going to multiply continuously. So keep that in mind. If when we get delivered, we become immortal, and we're going to keep on multiplying at a rapid pace, even the land of Israel itself will not be able to hold us after a certain point in time. And what's going to happen then? Well, let's go to the book of John, and this is where you gotta put your spiritual mind on in order to receive it. So this is the book of John, chapter 14, verse 1. It says, let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. Now, these many mansions that is referring on to here, as we've gone into before, is talking about the various different planets. Okay. Now, when you go to the book of let me see, footstool. How many of these? 16? Okay. Okay. Yep, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 1. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahawah, the heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. Where is the house that ye build unto me? And where is the place of my rest? Now, the point here is that the heaven is the Lord's throne, as he says, and the throne is somewhere you sit, and the footstool is somewhere where you put your feet. So if the earth is the Lord's footstool, okay, which a footstool is something that you will find in what? In a house. Okay, you have a throne, which is in the house. You have a footstool, which is in the house, but you also have other things that are within that house. And where is the footstool and the heaven contained? That's contained ultimately in this universe, or whatever else is on a greater level, solar system, universe, galaxy, however much you want to go. But that is the house, okay, in which there are many mansions, which represent the different planets. Because just like a mansion is a house or an abode, so is a planet. Okay, a planet is really just a bigger house. Because what does a house contain? It contains you, right, which are the people that are going to dwell in it. And it contains the resources that you need to live in the house. Well, That's pretty much what a planet is on a larger scale. A planet is really just a super huge house. Okay, and what does it do? It houses the inhabitants, which are really us, humans. Okay, that's why it contains the things necessary for us to live and to survive. It contains the food and the oxygen and all of these things. But going back to John 14, the many mansions in the Most High's house are these various planets. You got to think about it. Why would the Most High create the? We know about the creation of the planet Earth, but all these super galaxies and all these things going on out there. If the Lord can stretch the heavens like a curtain, what would be the need for that? Eventually, we're gonna spread out past the Earth. Okay, the Earth is gonna be the starting point, but eventually we're gonna spread out and fill up these other planets and these solar systems and these galaxies and so on and so forth. However, Jerusalem is gonna be, like the elder said in this video, the headquarters. Okay, and it will be known as that and recognized for that. However, eventually in process of time, we're gonna expand outward past the planet Earth. Okay, so bringing it all back full circle to the point, or to the topic, the land of Israel is the chosen land or the promised land. And the reason it's called the promised land is because it was a land that was promised onto somebody, all right, onto a people, which those would be the nation of Israel, starting with the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the Lord promised that land onto us through our forefathers, or to our forefathers descended onto us, and we inherit that. Okay, so at the end of the day, like we started off in the book of First Peter, the third, or Slack, Second Peter, the third chapter. In the last days, you're gonna have people walking after their own lusts, trying to use their own reasoning and understanding and logic to explain away aspects of the scriptures, and they think that they're just, in their mind, debunking the Hebrew Israelites, or debunking what we're teaching. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to fight against the word of the Lord, because we're teaching what the scriptures say. We're teaching according to the Bible. We're teaching the truth of it. And we're not here to make you believe it. Quite frankly, if you can't receive it, you can't receive it. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what rank or status you are. It doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or if you're an average, regular individual. If you can't receive it, then we're moving on. Okay? You don't get favoritism or any special treatment because you're of a certain status. That doesn't matter. The Most High doesn't care about that. Guess what? The same way a regular Israelite would eat a missile is the same way somebody who's a celebrity would eat a missile. Or maybe I shouldn't even say that. Maybe the one of a higher rank might eat two missiles. I don't know. Okay, but the point is the truth is the truth. And now you have a lot, being that it's going more mainstream, you got to keep in mind that you're going to have a lot more stumbling blocks that are going to come out. And that's why you have to be rooted and remain firm. A lot more people are going to say, you may see somebody that may say shalom, but just because they say shalom doesn't mean that they're of the elect. Hey, peace, shalom, brother. But that's because, brother, shalom, shalom. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to judgment, saying shalom is not going to put the thawa, or give you the thawa, okay, which is in Ezekiel 9:4, which is that mark of being exempt from judgment. That's going to come if you're of the elect, point blank, period. But all of this is still necessary because it's a part of prophecy. It's a part of the awakening. Yeah, you will have a great awakening, but that great awakening is only going to go so far. You see, when you have levels to the awakening, right? You can wake up and know that you're an Israelite, or you can wake up and know that you're not just black. But knowing that you're not just black doesn't mean that you know 100% truth, or you know the fullness of it. And the closer you get to the truth, the less believers of it you'll find. You'll find out on the outside, or on the surface level, it sounds like everybody believes the same thing, but that's not the case. And no, don't come out here asking, oh, why can't we just know? Because the Most High didn't set it up that way. We're not here to go along and get along. But he still teaches about Israel. Right? So what? Did the Most High say, you teach about Israel, you're all good to go? No. there's a specific way or a specific truth or a specific doctrine. That's the truth. There's only one truth, and that's it. Okay, and if you can get mad all you want, but take it up with the Most High. All right, take it up with the Most High. It's the Lord's word, not ours. I don't even understand what Ezekiel 36 says, that Israel would be desolate and uninhabited, brother. How can that be Israel over there? Yeah, I'm gonna need you to rephrase that. But you know what? I'm done with the lesson. So tell you what, I don't know if you're a scoffer or not. I don't know if you're asking a sincere question or not. But whatever your question is, reword it in a way where it's clear what you want to know, what you're asking, with more context, and then just put it as a comment. And if the spirit, if the spirit permits, then I'll address it. And if you're just a scoffer, then, well, you're just a scoffer. That's not going to be addressed. But anyway, let me see what else we have here. All right, this is GMS Kwam Wa'ala, Isaiah 45:18. It says, "For thus saith the Lord Yahawah, that created the heavens, God himself that formed the earth and made it. He hath established it, he created it not in vain, he formed it to be inhabited. I am the Lord Yahawah, and there is none else." All right, Isaiah 45:18. Yep. So pretty much that's it on the lesson. Like I said, there's definitely other aspects and other parts of this individual, Ronald Dalton, different things that he teaches. One main thing is that the chariots are not the UFOs of the Bible, and it's foolish to even think that. So what are you gonna do when the Lord shows up in a giant chariot? Before you can even form a thought, there's a hot burning planetary, inter-realm, interdimensional laser beam coming straight for your ass. See, that's the thing. It doesn't matter what people say now. Everybody's gonna be a believer back then. Just like when the story with the boy who cried wolf. At the end of the day, everybody understood. Oh, damn! Wow, he wasn't lying this time. But some people realized that when they were getting torn up by the wolves, and he realized it. Some people realized it, when they weren't getting torn up. But the point is, everybody's going to come to the conclusion that, and it tells you that in Wisdom of Solomon, the fifth chapter, right? But at the end of the day, you're going to have some that are going to come to the conclusion while they're in pain, and you're going to have some that are going to come to the conclusion, as the scriptures say, and be quiet for fear of evil, but they're going to be delivered. So anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, BaHa, SHAM, YAHAWASHI, BaHa, SHAM, RAWCHAA, QADASH. Until next time, Shalom.